Hello Internet, this is Nakam here, and today I'm going to be ranking the top 200 my anime list anime and just talk about them, I guess. So yeah, previously I made a tier list about my favorite mystery games. I think that was an okay video, but I also like these tier list and discussion videos where I just talk about random shit, ramble to myself without a script. Yeah, I think it's honestly nice to learn how to talk without any script, which is also I enjoy doing this. Yeah, I mean, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is pretty good, but everyone likes it, and I'm no exception. I think this anime definitely deserves the top 10 spot. And what can I say? It's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's so fun, and it has a lot of cool fights, a lot of interesting themes. And I also have to point out that a lot of the reasons that Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is popular is that it has a very general likability, likable characters. There aren't any asshole that you have to endure most of the time. The villains are badass. The heroes are also really badass, and there aren't just a lot of shit that irks some people. That some of the animes I really like are kind of controversial because of certain elements, but Alchemist Brotherhood doesn't have those elements. And I'm not trying to take a jab at the show. It's really good. If you haven't watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I mean, Gigak, what are you doing, baby? You should definitely watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Gintama. Okay, so about Gintama, I only watched a few episodes. I think I looked at the first few episodes. It didn't look that interesting, but I skipped ahead and watched some of the episodes from the recent anime, and it's pretty good. It's pretty funny, to be exact. But the issue with Gintama is that some of the jokes are relatable, some of them are not. I don't really care about most of the episodes that talk about the history of Japan. I don't think there are a lot of anime where a lot of comedic animes where the comedies just keep hitting and hitting. Like there are some American cartoons, like even Family Guy. I believe I really enjoy some of the comedy and social commentary of Family Guy and the Western cartoons and comedy, but the Japanese comedy is hit and miss. Kingdom is definitely a hit and miss show to me. I haven't really watched the drama and plot heavy episodes, so I really can't say anything about those episodes. But holy shit, it's really long, and I think a lot of its appeal is probably has to do with the fact that it's so long and people have a lot of attachment to it. But in that case, I also think that certain shows like Naruto, One Piece is probably high rated too. Like Bleach and other stuff should also be highly rated. But there's a lot of community bashing and critical bashing for shows like Bleach, Naruto, so I can understand. I'm just surprised nobody bashes Gintama. Holy shit. Okay, Shingeki no Kyojin. Yeah, Attack on Titan is pretty good. It always has been good. The only reason it kind of fell under people's radar is that after the first season, it took so long for a continuation to happen. But thankfully with Wit and Mappa doing a great job, it garnered a lot of attention back, and it's probably the most hyped anime airing currently. I mean, if you just look it down here, uh, part season 4 part 2 is currently airing. Steins Gate. So about Steins Gate, yeah, it's okay. It's 24 episode time travel story. I think the most interesting, enjoyable fact about this show is that there aren't many that good, like really interesting times to travel stories in the anime. Like there's from the popular ones, there's Bokudake no Machi, Erased, and that anime got really bad towards the end. There's Tatami Galaxy, which isn't actually a time travel story, just by the general issue of anime lacking any good, like more interesting time travel story than Steins Gate. That Steins Gate gets pushed so high. Like, I don't know, I think Steins Gate is kind of overrated. Like, I will never put Steins Gate in my top 10 list, honestly. Like, due to the fact that I also watched a lot of mystery and time travel stories that are more interesting than Steins Gate. And there's also another fact that I just don't have a lot of appreciation with a time travel story that focuses too much on how to make the time travel happen. Like, this show spent so much time trying to convince me that plugging your phone into a microwave is going to create a time machine. I'm not that interested into it. Haikyuu is pretty fun though. I'm not saying this show doesn't have fun characters or very emotional moments. It does, and that's probably why it's so high. But like, a lot of animes do have it. I'm not saying it's a bad anime, but top 10 material? I don't know. I honestly think it's not one of those anime. It's not like the best of the best that anime has to offer. I honestly think that if certain people with a good mind and talent could gather up, they could easily make a time travel story that's better than Steins Gate. Hunter x Hunter. So this anime is pretty cool. And this adaptation in specific is really detailed. Madhouse just went all out on this. The animation is smooth. The character models are always on point, and I also think it adapts the manga pretty faithfully. That being said, the story of Hunter x Hunter is so weird. Due to the fact that I think the first arc of Hunter x Hunter is not that great. The Hunter exam is sort of like, people shit on Kishimoto for copying Hunter x Hunter, but what can I say? I mean, Chunin exams are more interesting than Hunter exam, and this anime also tries to subvert the expectations of the audience, but in a really disappointing ways. You think something hype is gonna happen, but they blue ball you and don't do the hype thing. Like, hype moments being cliche, or or sometimes hype being telegraphed or foreshadowed and being delivered is not a bad thing. I think just because it supports that, it doesn't make it great. The arc where Kurapika hunts after the Spider-Man is pretty interesting. And I will admit, I haven't watched the Chimera Ant arc. I heard that it's one of the best arcs. So maybe I will make a review or opinion-based analysis on Hunter x Hunter after I finish watching it. But this anime is 148 episodes. And even if the production values are good, the pacing is still slow. Now, one anime that's on number 8, but I honestly think should be on number 1, is Ginga Eiyu Densetsu. I watched 110 episodes of this show, and unlike Hunter x Hunter, this show doesn't pull any punches. Like all 110 episodes are worth watching. Like I watched an episode of Ginga Densetsu or Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and I think, holy shit, so much info has been dumped into my brain. So much important shit just happened. Like, you still need 110 episodes just to tell the story, despite like every episode being important or entertaining in some way. And yeah, the show is really good. And I just think this show has a lot to say about war, the tragedies of war, and human nature in general. I also think some of the technological predictions about humanity's growth and technology is pretty interesting. If you haven't watched this show, go ahead. It's definitely great. I think one of the I mean, it's not really a flaw, but one of the pushbacks of this anime is that it's kind of old. The animation is outdated, and not just outdated. It kind of switches back and forth between two animations due to the remake improving certain remake. I mean, not a remake. It's just that this version, the version most people are familiar with, tries to improve certain animations that are too dated or badly drawn. So it kind of just shifts between certain animation styles, and that is kind of jarring. But and this anime also tries to take itself a little too seriously and tries to present itself as a historical documentary instead of being flashy like certain animes like Death Note or Attack on Titan, where those shows have some really flashy ways to attract other people and make the show feel more dynamic. But Jinja Densetsu doesn't do that, but the story is really good nevertheless. There are so many likable and awesome characters in this show. Gintama. Holy shit, like, tell Gintama fans to stop forcefully rating all this shit so high. Like, it's literally making it hard to assess, like, for which animes are rated highly. Like, how am I supposed to, like, feel when the first page of my anime list is just Gintama? Like, these are spots that some other anime could have taken, but I should have watched Violet Evergarden, so I don't have any much opinion on it. Sangatsu no Line is... I only watched like the first few episodes, but it's really good. It's really interesting. The only reason I stopped is because I think I was lazy and the show was kind of being slow, but it's slow, but it's good. It's definitely worth watching. Koenika's Katachi. That's really cute. I mean, for a movie, it's enjoyable. I do think that the characters are a little bit too over dramatic. They try to kill themselves too easily. But they're emotional teenagers and they're also Japanese, so I'm not saying I'm not trying to stereotype Japanese people, but the suicide rates in Japan is Planet. I haven't watched Planet. Code Geass. Jibun. Oh, okay. Let's just get that meme out of the way. Code Geass Season 2. Season 2 has a lot of bullshit in it, but it also has so many amazing moments in it. I mean, I'll just talk about my opinions on the entire show. Like, whether you like or dislike, I mean, it's hard to dislike Code Geass, but Code Geass is the show that does so many awesome shit and so many dumb shit at the same time. It's kind of hard to say, but like, one thing I will say, I am not bothered by the fan service in this anime. I actually think it's kind of hilarious, comedy wise. Like this teenager Lelouch is like being a super badass and trying to lead this revolutionary group of Japan, and while also trying to manage being in a high school, also trying to have his dick in his pants at the same time. And I also think one of the like impressive aspects about Code Geass is that it just mixes so many genres together. So yeah, that's the impressive part about Code Geass. What's not impressive about Code Geass is the ends justifies the mean type of mentality where we are going to create an awesome badass moment, but we are going to sacrifice logic and any kind of semblance of consistency in how the universe works just to create those awesome moments. It kind of becomes cheap because of that, and sometimes, yeah, the show definitely tries too hard to be emotional. There's also certain parts that I think it feels a little bit rushed, but other than that, I think Lelouch is a pretty cool character, all things considered. I generally think that Lelouch is a well written and well designed character purely because he has so many masks and so many roles he has to play. He has to play the role of a leader, but at the same time be this nice friend to Suzaku, and also be a big brother to Nanoli, and be a responsible leader to his schoolmates. And sometimes due to like this show is so good at tormenting Lelouch and making and forcing him into hard decisions. But that's something like that needs in a good war drama, and Code Geass definitely delivers. Shingeki no Kyojin Season 2, yeah, Attack on Titan. I think I previously talked about Attack on Titan before, but just say, yeah, Season 4 has been a bomber, but the difference between like Attack on Titan and Gingai Densetsu is that Attack on Titan only recently started like discussing about racism and war and tragedies of war and being all political and stuff. Like Gingai Densetsu has always been political since the very first episode, and Attack on Titan was a survival story and it got more interesting as it goes on. That being said, I also think Mappa is not as good as with. Like, I know my trash taste folks are saying that people should stop hating on Attack on Titan. Yeah, I agree. Season 4 has been great and people are way too over dramatic. That being said, it is true that Mappa is not doing a great of a job as Wit, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Still pretty good though. Like, I also like the fact that they're trying to be more faithful to the manga in terms of art style. I mean, I also really like Wit's art style, maybe bit more. The CGI is okay. It's okay. Eren is being super interesting now, for just saying. Blah 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 blah. Okay, this one's a Chinese anime, I think. I heard it's good from Gigak, but I may have a different taste than him. I heard Osama ranking is also good. I didn't watch it. Monster, I watched the first 24 episodes. This anime has filler in it. Like, I know people are saying, oh shit, Monster is so good. Like, bro, Monster is just like Naruto. It's just like the scene version of Naruto. It has good shit in it, but it has filler inside it. The pacing is so bad. The fillers. Anyways, yeah, I definitely think this anime is worth watching. I watched the 22 episodes, and I probably would have continued if I had more patience. But I don't know, man. This anime tries to like rank off Johan Liebert as this genius mastermind info. I don't think the writing isn't like good at justifying that. Like trying to show and prove that he's a genius through impressive storytelling. But we'll see. I will continue the show someday. Haikyuu, it's pretty fun. And okay, let me just talk about my haikyuu opinions. I definitely think that one of the strengths of haikyuu is that it's ongoing, and other than that, it also like sort of grounded, and it also shows the training and the hard work that goes into learning the abilities that the players need to learn. Like Kuroko no Basket is pretty fun, like it's so crazy, but it also kind of skips those crucial parts which needs to be shown. I also think, like, people are gonna shit me for saying this, but I definitely think that volleyball as a sport is definitely requires more teamwork than basketball. Like basketball, I mean, it also may have something to do with how Kuroko no Basket handles its storytelling. Like, there are moments in Kuroko no Basket where one character or two characters can just carry their entire team, whereas in haikyuu and in volleyball, if one of your teammates are weak, the opponent can definitely abuse that, which is also very interesting. And yeah, the show definitely knows how to make volleyball interesting. Spirited Away, oh man, like I watched this movie quite a lot of times when I was a kid, but still it was when I was a kid, and I haven't really watched since then. The animation is also great, but like as a story and like how I appreciate it, it's so weird. Like, what am I supposed to say about this anime? It's a kids show. I don't think this anime has that of a strong theme. A lot of random shit also happens in it. Has impressive animation. Has a lot of human cool moments. Yeah, okay. Mushoku no Tensei. This one's interesting. Like, I know like Gigak and like some anime-tubers are saying like, holy shit, this Mushoku Tensei is such a great, it's like the best isekai. It's the best isekai because it plays everything straight. I mean, isekais could be better than Mushoku Tensei, at least in terms of story. In terms of visuals, I think this anime is pretty interesting. Yeah, pretty good. But I also think that Mushoku Tensei's strength is that it just like plays everything so real. Like the character is like a horny dude, and like the show doesn't like tries to portray it as something good or something bad. Like he is who he is. The main character is who he is. The characters in the universe are who they are. There aren't any like propaganda-ish type of directing in this show. It's just real. It's just about people's life in a fantasy world, but our main protagonist is from our world, and this show also takes it slow, which I think is makes it unique considering how fast isekai shows try to speed run all the story elements. And I also like how most of the character reactions and logic are very down to earth. Like some of the I just don't like some of the logic in the ReZero or certain like isekai anime. Like sometimes they like are not too phased by things, like certain characters. Like the whole point of being transported into another world is that you want to see the character's reaction to this new world, and some of the characters just don't act like shit, and sometimes they're just too dumb. I think the protagonist is just a really good balance between realistic but also smart. Yeah, it's definitely an anime worth watching if you have a free time. I'm not saying you have to. There's definitely better shows out there, but I think the show has potential. It definitely like a show that builds up through time. Like the more characters get more introduced, the more pieces on the board gets added, the show gets more interesting. It kind of plays it too slow at times to be more detailed. Cowboy Bebop. The show's pretty banger. I don't think it's a masterpiece. Maybe a masterpiece in terms of directing, sure, but storytelling, which I also like appreciate a lot. I don't like, yeah, like some of these like stories could have been better, but in general, what I like about Cowboy Bebop is that it's fulfilling. Like you don't feel like you're being dragged into a mindset of, oh, I'm watching this show just to see what's gonna happen next. No, you're watching a 20-minute movie every time. That's the fun of episodic shows, I guess. And it also like combines certain genres. Some episodes feel like a horror flick, some episodes just an absolute comedy banger, some episodes are like action drama, some episodes are super depressing. They like the show's just like really good at depicting like life. Like never mind what I said. I just said this show is the masterpiece, but it kinda is. Like depending on how you look at it. But I also think that, damn, I just wish like using the Cowboy Bebop characters, you could like make a more interesting story. Like these characters are so fun to hang around, but I wish just the overarching story was more interesting. But it is what it is. I am sort of an architect in that I do enjoy like heavily well constructed ongoing stories like Attack on Titan or Gingai Densetsu or Brotherhood, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But I also like enjoy shows like Cowboy Bebop too. Don't get me wrong, but the show's good, but it's great. But masterpiece, my top 10 choice, not really. Strange thing about Demon Slayer, the animation is very very unique, and it also like the way they depict all different briefing style and they like they use CGI. It's so great. The show has a unique flair in terms of animation, but in terms of story, it needs a lot of time to build up. And even now, it's still like I think some of the storytelling is a little too linear. Like the group goes on an adventure, they defeat a demon, they meet the super awesome Hashira on their adventure, and they jump to the next arc. Like, I am afraid that like Demon Slayer might become a little bit of predictable. And this show also like really likes to use some Deus Ex Machina at times, but it tries to be clever too. It tries to be strategically, but I also understand that some of the emotional buffs are like are true and important in combat. I'm not saying like the head and strategy or thinking, strategical planning decides everything, especially in a show about where your mental health determines your strength. But nevertheless, I think the Mugen train arc was so good. And I also think the current arc is also pretty interesting too. Yeah, the show has a lot of potential. Like the first season was good, but it also only felt like a prologue to it. And yeah, the show has potential, and I'm currently really enjoying watching it. I need to watch Heaven's Feel, man. Holy shit. Like, I watched some of the clips and it looks so good. Hajime probably should watch it, but I don't because I'm a lazy asshole. Mushoku, Mushishi, I only watched one episode. It's very atmospheric. That's all I gotta say. Villain Saga, probably should watch it. Trust and Betrayal, probably should watch it. Jujutsu Kaisen, yeah, just like Demon Slayer, but I also like, not gonna lie, I actually kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen a lot more in terms of, at least in terms of the way they characterize the characters. Like, one of the things I like kind of obnoxious about Demon Slayer is that they try to like slanderize certain aspects of the characters and at least make them obnoxious. Like, yeah, I know it's subjective, but I still think Zenith is fucking annoying, like everybody else. Like, I can tolerate it, but just because I tolerate it doesn't make it good. And I think Jujutsu Kaisen like has the perfect balance of making the characters realistic and more interesting. And, like, that's really a hard balance to like carry. Like, sometimes certain shows just have characters that are too realistic to the point that they're almost generic. Like, they are the average of average person. But I think one of the strengths of Jujutsu Kaisen is that the characters like feel likable, lovable, and also realistic and also interesting. Like, that's kind of cool. And I also like some of the like the messages in the show. Like, this show has a lot of like insight into a lot of human nature and society as a whole, and has something interesting to commentate about it. And Gojo is so fun, dude. Like, he's such a wild character. He definitely subverts the sensei, the Kakashi archetype a little bit. His personality is pretty unique. Yeah, Onizuka is pretty fun. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched like 10 episodes, and it was enjoyable. Mononoke Princess. Yeah, this show is pretty banger, and not gonna lie, I do like this show more than Spirited Away. It's just like the fantasy element to it, the action, like the drama, it's so great. Like, yeah, I mean, I watched the show as a kid, so my memory isn't fully clear and crystal clear. But that being said, I do remember a lot of the elements and a lot of the creepy and mysterious aspects of the show. Like, this show has that mysterious and creative aura of Spirited Away, but almost like cranked it up to 11. Because it's a fantasy show, and the world in the show is so detailed and so interesting. And I also like, and man, I also like this political dramas of how these different factions exist, and they all have their own different ideologies, and how just nature operates in this show. Like, this show is pretty good, and yeah, definitely worth watching. It's just a movie, but I think it's Hayao Miyazaki's greatest works. Yeah, the show's pretty good. Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso. Yeah, the show is overrated. There I'll say it. Look, I'm not saying like the show isn't good in terms of animation and music, which it is. It's fantastic. And as a person who enjoys piano, listening to piano and listening to music in general, yeah, I really did enjoy my time with this show. I did say it was overrated, but yeah, I did really enjoy it. I think the characters are also pretty fun. That being said, you know, the main character being beaten up by other people for comedy isn't really enjoyable, and considering the fact that they never commentate on how the characters are being abusing towards a character who was born was abused, physically abused from a young age, and they just keep beating that poor bastard even as not like as a middle schooler for comedy. But disregarding that, I also think this show falls into the category of Yeah, it's just the show just tries to make you cry, like so hard. Like yeah, I cried, but like so what? I cry a lot, especially when the shows are trying to make me emotional. And yeah, like I am impressed by the show in terms of visuals and the music, but the storytelling is kinda. It's not bad by any means, but I'm just not really impressed by it. They just kind of like made the ending super sad, but it also doesn't have a lot of point to it. A lot of wisdom to it. It's just sad for the sake of sad. Yeah, I know, life sucks, and you might suddenly die, so cry about it. Okay, Evangelion 3.1. Oh man, Anna, why did you have to name your shit like that? Okay, so this movie is pretty good. Like, it's so good. Probably one of my all-time favorite movies in general. And what's surprising about this movie is that I actually kind of liked it more than End of Evangelion, but the End of Evangelion definitely has more charm in terms of animation and directing, and the End of Evangelion is also more subtle in some ways. But man, fuck that! End of Evangelion is pretentious as fuck at certain points, and also like doesn't like develop Shinji's characters. Shinji just kind of like fucks around and goes into a turmoil towards the end, and then suddenly has a change of heart right at the end. Whereas in this show, like yeah, Shinji is depressed, just like at the start of end of Evangelion, but at least like the show tries to like make it so that Shinji's decision to save the world isn't sudden, and it shows why he chose reality over fiction. He chose reality over instrumentality project, and it makes sense in this movie, and it's more inspiring. Shinji becomes an absolute chat, which I always wanted to see, and yeah, this movie is fantastic. I also really like how grounded the first half was. And I also really like like Asuka's depiction in this movie too, because like, sure, I know people are going to shit on this movie because it's not as good as the original, but like if you like compare this movie to End of Evangelion and take them as a vacuum, End of Evangelion is such a weird ass movie. Like Shinji is depressed and does nothing for like the entirety of the movie. Asuka is in a comatose state, depressed. She was previously depressed and almost suicidal. Then she wakes up, kicks ass, gets killed again. And in this movie, like, yeah, there is a time skip and all, but even in a vacuum, like, I get Asuka's character. Like, she has matured a lot. Even if the maturity isn't like the process of maturity isn't shown, but I still get more of that than what I did in End of Evangelion. So yeah, this movie has some powerful messages, man. I also like how makes certain characters more detailed, and I just like really like the depictions of certain characters and the alternative versions of them. This movie is pretty good. Shinji is a chat boy. He, I mean, End of Evangelion is a version, and this is the chat Shinji movie. And what can I say? I like uplifting stuff. Like watching End of Evangelion is cool and all. It is an experience, a very unique experience. Is it like helpful experience? Therapeutic? No, it's just like a tale of a madman. Like, just because End of Evangelion is depressing doesn't make it good, okay? Yeah, the CGI in this movie, it kind of like could have been better, but I honestly can't complain. It was good. Like the Asuka fight is like maybe better than it, but this movie has some great action too. But I honestly appreciate the first half and the slice of life moments more. any action which is really insane. And like Kaguya-sama, it's fun, it's funny, it's episodic. I definitely do think one of the flaws of Kaguya-sama is that it repeats itself a lot. It kind of starts to get repetitive and no progression. Like when I watch a romance show, I want progression, man. What will we do without progression series? Come on, guys. Yeah, I really enjoy progression in romance, and I do like it when the characters express their emotions and not try to play 3D chess against the person you love. It's so weird. Like, I find this show funny, but this show has all the wrong messages. Love is war. Love is not war. Fuck you. Fuck you for fuck you, Kaguya-sama, for bringing up and supporting the wrong messages. Like, we're just watching the show of the two light yagami bastards who can't express their love to another person because they think they'll be controlled and manipulated. Yeah, the show is fun, but the show's theme, the characters are kind of dog shit. And what's worse about this is that the show is also kind of not unaware of itself. I mean, it kind of is aware of itself, but nobody commentates on it because, nobody realizes that these two are hiding their feelings from one another. That's the whole gimmick. And I don't know if it'll get old. In fact, it kind of did get old. That's why I didn't watch all of it. Yeah, there I said, this is my Kaguya-sama critique. As much as a show is entertaining, I can't keep on watching the same shit over and over again. I need progression. I need variety. I enjoy all aspects of life, not just a very similar thing every episode. What is the show? Oh, whoa. What? Is this Bunny Girl Senpai? Oh yeah, it is. So Bunny Girl Senpai. It's pretty fun. It's so funny because the characters just feel like they came out straight from an abridged series. The main character is so Chad, man. And I know, I heard that DJ Bro talk about how there are dozens of characters that are similar to the MC, and I don't care. If it's a funny dude and he makes me laugh, and if he makes the experience worthwhile, I do think so. And I think Mei-san, was it? The main girl is pretty cool, but yeah. I do think this show doesn't know where to go after that. The two main characters started dating, and the show just introduces more girls, and it kind of goes on a tangent. That being said, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I really can't comment it or rate it. I guess I could just rate the first 3 or 4 episodes. I mean, even then, it'll probably be a decent experience. I will rank it decently high. So, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is pretty bomb, dude. The show is manly, the show is cool, it's badass, and it also has a lot of interesting messages to say about society. We really live in a society. Okay, not just about society, I mean about human nature and being man and being challenged. And also, the robots are powered by manliness, so it kind of has an in-universe explanation as to why they need to throw out logic and do the impossible, fight the unbreakable, row, fight the power. But yeah, it's a really enjoyable experience. It's hella fun. And I'm not going to say it's dumb fun, because there are a lot of insight to this show and maturity that I really like to commentate, but it's so hard to say. Like, I could commentate about the show's maturity while watching it, because there are like a lot of subtle details about religious dogmas, about how people are just so ungrateful shits, and but in not just that, and about like just dealing with depression, losing someone you love, and just dealing with attachments to certain someone or certain ideals and ideas. The show has some maturity and messages to it. Like, I really cannot say the show is dumb fun, even if it presents itself like that. Even if some people say that this show has insight, okay? This show has wisdom, and it still manages to be so badass and cool and dumb at the same time. Death Note is, it's cool. It's cool. Everyone knows Death Note. I'm actually kind of surprised how low Death Note is. Like, people need to chill, okay? The second half of Death Note didn't make Death Note bad. If anything, I actually think I would rate Death Note higher than Code Geass, because Code Geass, despite having like emotionally interesting moments, it's just dumb. And even if the moments themselves are like fantastic, the way they reach it is so ridiculous that I can't appreciate Code Geass. Whereas in Death Note, even if sometimes it kind of gets boring and shit, I still think that overall it's a fantastic show, and the ending episode is still great. I actually really like the way the show ended. And even if the second half has certain boring parts to it, but even the boring parts are just strategic meetings and plannings. I really just can't say it's boring. Just boring, okay? Because the show, one of the issues is that it tries to take itself too seriously. It also doesn't try to emotionally manipulate the audience. It doesn't try to do that, which is honestly why it's probably rated lower than Code Geass. The show's characters are very mature and intellectual, and if anything, I think Obata the author and the characters in the show themselves also treat characters who are too emotional as idiotic. And I hate to say it, but if your emotions are clouding your mind, it is kind of bad. Light and L, the characters, and function so well in this cat and mouse game is because they don't get their emotions. Light's one of the biggest mistakes is that he gets his emotions in the way, and he gets his ego into his head, and that's just his ultimate downfall. If you could overcome that, he is a pretty smart individual. And I just like the dilemma of Death Note. I honestly think it's the dilemma of should you kill all the bad guys is an eternal dilemma. It's a classic question. Yeah. Ping Pong the animation, good. When it comes to sports anime, it is honestly very, very good. This show's just about life, man. Not just. I really like the fact that the show doesn't just contain itself entirely into the sports. There are people. It shows these people's life as well, and just how hard it is to play ping pong and make money at the same time. You need to be good at the game to make have any kind of success. And being good at the game also requires so much skill and hard work. And oh my god. Yeah, this show is for an 11 episode show. This show is really packed with truth, man. Truth about people. It doesn't delve too deeply into the ping pong sports. just uses it as sort of a tool for storytelling and characters and themes. Yeah, yeah, this show is good. Okay, I haven't watched part 6. Look, listen to me. I will talk about Jojo, but when it comes, I hope like all the parts are ranked high because, you know, if it isn't, I might like scroll back here and talk about Jojo. Wolf Children is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, what's like not heartwarming about uh, child raising her kids? You know, it's such a like fun and heartwarming show, and the kids being wolves are also mixed up so that there are many funny scenes. I mean, this show just a 90-minute of pure fluff and happiness, man. Like, I can't like talk shit about this show. It's about a mom raising her children. What can I say? It's a pretty enjoyable show. Shouken Roku! I need to watch this show, but I'm not. Fate Zero is pretty good. And yeah, this show also has some really interesting commentary and discussions about politics, which I really like. But yeah, I also think the dev game aspect of Fate Zero kind of hinders the story, in my opinion. Like, if it wasn't a dev game, and if the characters like were allowed to make certain factions and like talk to each other without killing each other, like, I mean, this show is better than UBW because like the characters discuss shit, but at the same time it also kind of feels contrived because these characters are supposed to kill each other, but they're taking their sweet time talking to one another and being royal before doing it. But it's fine. That makes the show better, and the characters are like so pompous and charismatic. You just love every single dialogue and exchange they have. It's so fun. The animation is affordable, so it's also really great. I'm a Galaxy, so yeah, it's pretty good. I definitely think this show beats the point too hard. Like, yeah, I get it. I get that the main character is like not satisfied because he doesn't appreciate what he has. He isn't in the present moment. He's always like constantly deciding, oh, what would life like be if I did this or did that, and through using the magic of different timelines, you can see that no matter what he chose, he isn't happy because, well, happiness is subjective. Happiness is inside of you, and it's dependent on how you see things and whether you appreciate and enjoy the present moment and what you have. So in that sense, yeah, I think this show like hammers that point really well. But at the same time, like, if that's the only thing you're doing, it's not that impressive. And I also think that certain episodes are kinda weird, and I also like kinda like don't agree with certain solutions the author made for like what is happiness. Oh, getting the chick you really like will make you happy. Does it though? Doesn't make. I mean, Akashi is pretty big, but I don't think like all my problems will be solved if I can have an anime waifu as my girlfriend. Promised Neverland, and I think I watched like the half part of season 1, and I only like got spoiled on the ending, I think. But overall, yeah, this show is pretty fun, you know, intellectual battle, Death Note style, but it also didn't really impress me that much. Like, it didn't feel that smart. The characters just kinda spend too much time theorizing about shit rather than doing something. And the Evangelion. Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, I have been like comparatively shit talking in end of Evangelion, but holy shit, man, this movie is cracked. This movie, in terms of like animation and soundtrack and all, is a classic. And in terms of like the raw emotion, the Shinji's like Shinji's raw emotion is like bulging out of this movie, and you really do feel for like Shinji in a lot of the scenes in this show, and this movie really does a good job of making Shinji suffer, so that's good, I guess. And again, the Asuka fight is super fantastic. I definitely think this this movie really deserved to be a series. Like, could have been. Honestly, I think Anno and the crew might have rushed it, like trying to fit every little shit into a single movie. So a lot of shit has to be like explained outside of this movie, and inside of this movie they're constantly impopping in shit. And also I think this movie kind of suffers from spectacle creep. Like, yeah, the fights and the spectacle look amazing, but like, I watched Evangelion for the characters and the themes, man. This show like could have been more detailed in terms of characterization, but you know, it's what it is. It's pretty good. It's a very tight experience. Like, there really isn't anything you will cut from this movie. But holy shit, like, there is so much to add, like so much to explain. And like, I still don't feel like after like watching this movie, like I think I watched it 2 times, might be even 3 times, and I still don't get everything about it. But you know, I get the general idea, I get the general feeling, and the character emotions and the theme it was going for, which is the most important thing, I think. I think only like Anno knows what the actual shit in the end of Evangelion and the 4th movie, everything in that movie means, but that's not the point. Like, the point of Evangelion was always the emotions and the characters. One Punch! Oh, wait, not One Punch. It's Berserk. Tell me why, tell me why, tell me what you want. I don't know why, I don't know what to say. What was the lyrics? Oh, fuck. Berserk is a classic, for a good reason. This, was it the 90s anime is pretty well made, unlike the dog shit that is the CGI version, the modern CGI version. So, Guts and Griffith, pretty well solid characters. And Griffith did something wrong, did quite a few wrongs towards the end, but he is, regardless of that, a well-written character, well-characterized character, and I understand why he did it. I just don't think it's worth it. Bro, it's not worth it, bro. But yeah, Griff did a really hard decision there. Okay, I have played into the meme of Griffith did nothing wrong about the show. It's good. Watch it if you haven't. Generally, the idea is very similar to, kind of similar to Legend of the Galactic Heroes, but it also has a few fantasy and occultic elements to it. Basically, Griffith is Super Chad, who is not a royal blood, just a child, but who's not born royally, but he wants to become the greatest emperor, and he recruits Guts. Our main character. Guts is pretty strong, but he is also emotionally damaged, and it's just their growth as a people, their relationship, and this dude Guts just trying to understand life, whereas this dude Griffith just trying to to fulfill his ambitions. And it's just about people, you know. The greatest shows are just about people. Like, they don't like create a goal out of it. The whole point of Berserk isn't seeing just Griffith conquer the shit out of all the nations. It's also about just people living, becoming friends, and all having all sorts of adventures and mischiefs and strange occurrences that happen in life. And yeah, this show is really good at making certain dramatic scenes, and the characters are great in it. It's just so human, so well characterized, and their struggle of like trying to find meaning in this violence-filled world is just so relatable. You know, One Punch Man. Okay, One Punch Man 2 has a lot of a certain interesting element in that the MC is like want to have a like challenging fight. He's just too overpowered, but it kind of like felt like the show just didn't have a lot to do besides that. The first few episodes and getting to the MC's mindset was pretty interesting, but it also kind of just fell off, and the show just kind of struggles to make interesting scenarios. I mean, it is pretty funny. The show is popular, and comedy is, what makes a lot of shows popular. Since who doesn't like comedy, man? But I also think that shows that are only funny are kind of meh to me. Like I just want like every moment and every like minute of the show to have meaningful and worth experiencing. There are like certain shit that I just scenes that could have been skipped, or scenes that just didn't impact me, or scenes or fights that look extremely cool, but kind of weightless because you do know Saitama is gonna kick their ass. But regardless of that, it is a pretty enjoyable series. I don't think I will rate this show that high, but granted, being at 100 is totally fine to me. I think it's a decent place for One Punch Man. If anything, I think Berserk being so down here is honestly surprising. I really have a higher opinion of Berserk. Perfect Blue. This show is traumatizing as fuck, but yeah, it's really cool and delves into a lot of a strange mental issue the woman is having, and it's just kind of blurs this dream and reality together. I cannot do like how the show shows that fiction is just as valid as reality, and instead of like having a like saying it's a good thing, I mean the show doesn't like necessarily say that's a bad thing or something, but it does show like, holy shit, this actors like have it hard, like trying to enact these horrible actions is it takes a toll. It's what this show like tries to show, but it also like tries to show the problem of fans trying to having an expectation of certain actors and certain people. Yeah, it's just about life. It also has a lot of interesting insights into that subject of the entertainment industry and how people like view these actors as almost an object of entertainment. Yeah. ReZero. Watch the first few episodes. Again, I definitely could have continued it. I heard that the second season got really good, and well, maybe I might watch it. I definitely think I should, considering that the second season is fantastic, and even the first one it wasn't like that bad. I actually think Subaru is just a really cool and fun character. Uchiu Kyudai. Banana Fish. I heard this show is good. I heard this show is gay. You know what? I like gay and fun. Okay, yeah. Like, sure, I might like enjoy this show if I watched it. I might watch it sometime. What the hell is this? Oh, Grave of the Fireflies. This show This movie I heard is so sad. I could watch it, but I don't want to emotionally destroy myself. Should I watch it? What the hell? Oh, this movie also seems like really sad. Might watch it. It's probably good. I also heard that Arya is also good, but there are like strange slice of life shows like Hype and Remake that technically not lot of much happens in it, but people just love it for some reason. I don't know, man. I just can't get behind the Hype and Remake. It's one of those shows that are highly rated by a small cult niche. And I just don't understand. What I can like get behind is JoJo Part 4. I mean, it's so weird because I want to talk about JoJo from Part 1 to Part 4 because that's the parts that I watched. But I have to start from Part 4, and Part 4 is easily the best one, I think. It's so creative. The creativity in this part in particular is just insane. Like there's so many it really just subverts the expectations, and the stance in this part is just so unique and fun. And it's also like really clever in the way how the characters use their stance so creatively and so awesomely. And Josuke is pretty badass. Jotaro is also really great in here. The characters are just great, lovable. And the villains are also very interesting, very human. Hero is a very human villain. He's absolutely crazy but you can be both crazy and human. Can I say? I mean, I want to talk more about JoJo, but getting into spoiler territory. And honestly, what else am I supposed to say? Like, have you watched some of the episodes? Like, the episodes are like so varied in like flavor. Like, if you don't like one episode or find one episode boring or something, that's okay because the next episode is gonna be completely different nonsense, and it's gonna be some fun nonsense. So Rainbow, I actually watched quite a few episodes of Rainbow. I think I watched 10 episodes of Rainbow. Yeah, it's pretty badass and pretty bro episode, but it kind of like me. It tries to make you cry hard. It kind of like makes you like. It tries so hard to make you feel bad for these characters, which is fine, but like I need more than just feeling bad for the characters for to consider the show good. And I also didn't finish it, so what can I say? Okay, Stardust Crusaders is okay. To tell you the truth, my part 3 experiences, like I think my JoJo's fans are gonna rip me apart, but what I did is I watched like the first few episodes where Kakyoin gets recruited and they go on the adventure, and then after that I just skipped into the Vanilla Ice fight, or maybe a few episodes before the Vanilla Ice fight. So yeah, that's my part 3 experience. I totally watched part 3. Right guys? Right guys? I mean, Jotaro's Dio is pretty good. Vanilla Ice fight was actually good. Maybe even more like more well made than the Dio fight in terms of technicality and how smart the characters were. But I mean, the Dio fight was so good too. Yeah, I really should like go back and watch this part, but instead of doing that, I also should watch part 5. Oh yeah, someone talked about it back now. Is pretty cool. That being said, like let's be honest, like the non-chronological order thing is kind of cool, I guess, but like the events that happen in the Flying Pussyfoot is all that matters, and it's the most fun part. And I also think this anime just ends too abruptly. It's only 13 episodes, and it honestly could have gotten much more interesting if it continued. This show is just filled with so many badass characters, and you just watch these badass characters fight and be cool and say cool shit, and that's about it. I mean, this show is a very simple entertainment, folks. Yeah, it's cool characters doing cool fights and cool saying cool shit. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool and entertaining. That's the show. That's why it's called Baccano, I think. Yeah, and yeah, it's a bit gimmicky too. But yeah, it's a cool, fun show. I won't rate it that high because if you noticed, I also like rate shows based on how much insight it has and how much like unique experience it can give. I think Baccano is just one of those shows that just throw in a bunch of cool characters and just make them fight. And there are a lot of shows like that. I mean, Jojo is one of them, and I think Part 4 honestly was more fun than this. Second drop. I mean, this show is just kind of cheat, man. Like anything, any show about like raising a child and being a happy family, like I like fucking just drop my guard to it. It's pretty cute. I know the manga ending. I honestly like just curious how the manga goes. Just want to see how it goes. But yeah, like disregarding the manga, this show is pretty cute. I won't rate it high, but it's a pretty relaxing and fun and enjoyable experience. That I will say. Kyojin, Sei no Kakuretsu, Parasyte is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I definitely like the fights in this show and how strategic these fights are. I mean, I really like this strategic fight animes there. And don't get me wrong, I do like when characters like get emotionally like powered up and beat the villain and shit. But a lot of the time, it also kind of feels like an ass pull and offers like finding an easy way out. And Parasyte, for the most part, kind of like manages to make the fights seem logical and entertaining, but it also has to say a lot about human nature and what makes humans strong as well as their weaknesses. And Parasyte is definitely an interesting show. Like, what happens if like parasites that are more intelligent than humans, more emotionless and ruthless than humans come in just to exterminate humans? What will happen then? And the show's like interesting. If you haven't like watched this, I'm not saying it's like the greatest anime ever, but it's definitely like worth a shot. It was definitely a fun experience and insightful experience, I will say, when I watched this show. Mononoke Princess is also anime definitely worth watching. 12 episode. I mean, it's pretty short. I kind of don't like how the whole plot revolves around Madoka, whether she accepts her power or not. And I definitely felt like the show is just so rushed, man. Like, this show easily could have been a 24 episode show. I think Ura Butcher could have definitely written a 24 episode story if he really wanted it. I definitely think that the magical girls having different factions and having different ideologies and fighting each other was the most interesting part of the show. And I definitely think if they focused on that part of the show, they could have like extended the show's lifespan. But for a 12 episode show, it's pretty good. Succubus, I definitely need to continue watching it. I only watched like 2 episodes, and from those 2 episodes, it really give me a good first impression. But I still didn't watch it because I don't know. Maybe I just really like to play Yu-Gi-Oh in my free time. I mean, did you watch my like catalog of videos? I just keep on posting Yu-Gi-Oh videos, even though I know like anime discussion content probably makes more like profit, but I don't care. Like Yu-Gi-Oh is so fun, guys. Like there I see if like Yu-Gi-Oh like do oh shit, I love this show. It's currently airing right now. Like Marine is so bae, she's best girl, and I just love the interaction between these two characters. I just like I love so many romance animes, man. Like I know like a lot of people find binging shonen shows easily shonen shows, and I do agree. I love like binging shonen shows too, but I'm so easy to binge this romance anime if like the characters just have a good chemistry and they just have a fun time together. It's just so easy for me to binge everything. I'm just so tempted to read the manga of the show. They're so cute together, and yeah, go watch it. And yeah, it's one of those make you cry show. And it's probably good, honestly, but I didn't watch it, so I can't really say anything about it. Bakemonogatari, the directing of the show is very interesting. The characters are very charismatic. For some goddamn reason, I'm just not watching it. Maybe I should like make a live commentary on this or something. Maybe they'll make me watch it or something. Holy shit. I just need to watch more anime. But I also don't want to force myself. Well, and yeah. Hey, right at the end, there's 200. I guess that's my 200 quota now. Yes, I know. I can just keep on continuing and talking about more and more shit, but if I do that, this video is going to get out of hand. I think I talked about the shows, and tell me in the comments what content do you want from me, and what's your opinion on the certain animes do you think below. And I tried to make this video spoiler free, and I kind of did spoil the shit out of it, but I hope you guys understand that this sort of opinionated content is so hard to make without talking about the actual show. So I hope you forgive if I spoil the shit out of certain shows unintentionally.